Hello, welcome back to the Villa View. It's time for a post-match point straight after the game as Villa have beaten Leicester late on again at the KP Stadium, just like they did a few years ago. I think that's twice in 3 years now. Villa have stolen 3 points late on. The show is sponsored by Purity Ale. If you want to get 10% off everything they have to offer, use the code #VillaView. And yes, I do still have to look at the top of the screen to see what the discount code is. I'm your host, Dan Bardell, joined by a jubilation-filled Omar. Jubilant, that was the word I was looking for. Absolutely incredible, Omar. Aston Villa are now 7th in the Premier League. Could have gone 6th tonight, but Brighton did what they needed to do against Bournemouth. But still, for us to be 7th and for, the way we won that game, absolutely ridiculous. Bertrand Traore, who was obviously a winger, so wasn't wanted at the football club at the start of the season, has come back to make up the numbers. He's come on the pitch and with his second touch of the ball, he scored an absolute beauty. That is what he's capable of on a good day, Bertrand Traore. And, fair play to the Villa Socials team as well, because I did not think they'd have a goal gif ready for him, but they did. Just absolute scenes in the away end. Again, they must be having such a good time, the Villa away fans, at the moment. Unbelievable, Omar. How on earth are we 7th in the Premier League after the start?
It is mad, isn't it? Absolutely mad that we're in this position. I never thought. I've written off the season. Even when Emery came in, I've written off the season.
There it is.
That's crazy. Look at that. 44
Readable
points
as well.
Oh, that is brilliant. Yeah. I mean, Brighton, fair play, they're doing well, but we're really cementing ourselves now in the top half, and that is such a crucial win. Win. We talked about it with a bit like the Chelsea game, the kind of game where normally we would have drawn or maybe lost, especially down to 10 men. We always struggle against 10 men. Not to say we were brilliant today, far from it, but we did the job. It was professional performance. Leicester were probably buoyed by Rodgers sacking. Definitely the crowd were. I think the crowd were well up for it.
Crowd were loud. And the players, they looked up for it. They were organised, and fair credit, credit to Leicester. They made it really difficult for us. But Bertie T, what a maverick, what a player. And I was so happy we got him back in and recorded him alone. I know he got a lot of criticism. I'm not going to start here saying I told you so, but I just know with that kind of player, you just give him a few opportunities, and 5-6 times out of 10 he's going to be terrible, but those 3-4 games he can turn it on and do something like that. He's got that in his locker, and he's a match winner. We've seen it before, and for him to shoot first time out of nothing, and I said to you, unbelievable finish.
I was saying on the group, I was like, I just can't see us scoring, because I just we were playing quite a methodical style even when they're down to 10 men. We weren't really bombing forward. Moreno was still sort of getting the ball in acres of space, coming back, and we were trying to play through, and it was a bit difficult. And I thought, it's gonna be a mistake or something, and it was a mistake, but still, it wasn't like he was through on goal. It's just fabulous and buzzing, absolutely buzzing, mate. I'm so happy.
It was. I don't think we played badly in the second half, but I wouldn't say that we played well either. And we just the final pass didn't quite seem to be there. There was some decent like interplay and build-up play there, but it always felt like the final action wasn't great from Villa in the second half. And he left his subs late as well, Unai Emery. I think, obviously you have a look on social media whilst the game's going on and people were calling out for subs, and he left it quite late to even introduce Duran into the game. And then he throws on 3 subs with 5 minutes left, and you kind of think that nothing of it really. You kind of think the game's going to fizzle out and be a 1-1. But it is, he's just capitalised on an error, and even though it's an error, it's not an error in a massively dangerous part of the pitch. That the way he's given the loose ball for Traore to try that is just audacious. The guy's barely played any football. For the last few months, to have the confidence to try something like that and to have the ability to try something like that and for it to come off, and you could see his face as well. He was absolutely delighted. From what I hear, he just was not treated well by Steven Gerrard at the start of the season at all. Completely bond. I think last season, he had his injury problems, but you do forget the year before, he was very good for Villa. Yes, he had frustrating games, but his goal and assist output was actually very, very strong in his first season. Gerrard decided he didn't want wingers for whatever reason. He was kind of forced out at the start of the season, Bertrand Traore, but he's come back. It was fairly bold of him to take the number 9 shirt. In fairness from him as well. That probably says a lot about him, but he's just a sumptuous goal. He's such a good finish. It's one of those ones, as soon as he hits it, you just knew it was going in. The keeper was off his line. He spotted that. What a way to win a football match. And we are just absolutely flying at the moment. Even on the nights where you don't think it's going to go our way, we pull out a late winner. Villa hardly renowned for late goals over the years as well. I feel like we've been the wrong end of it a number of times in my life, but that is a big win. You know, to follow up the Chelsea win at the weekend, which was a big win with a massive win away from home. Again, you think, God, we've got a home game against Forest, which is entirely winnable at the weekend. Now we are absolutely flying up the table at the moment, and people after the Chelsea game were starting to take notice of us a bit more in the media and on Sky and whatever. It feels like people are talking about Villa's record a little bit more because it's been there really for 6-7 weeks. You could look at Emery's record. Villa were going well. Villa were really high in the form table, but it's not really been spoken about. Suddenly we beat Chelsea and people are starting to talk about us, and they'll be talking about us again now because we've stole the game. We have stole it. It was fizzling out to be a 1-1. It would have been a better point for Leicester than us, I think, in the circumstances, with them being down to 10 men. But Villa have come and nicked all 3 points right at the death. Feel sorry for Leicester. Obviously, they're big in trouble at the moment. But Villa are just ruthless and just finding a way to win games.
Yeah, and it feels like I've seen someone just put there. It feels like the Championship run, and it feels like something special is happening. It really feels like something special happening, and I think the players are fully bought into that they can win every game, and they're always in the game. And I think, you know, if you look at the run that we're on, you talk about the run there. You know, I saw a tweet the other day. Eddie Howe, who was nominated for Manager of the Year last year, in the same amount of games since he took over Newcastle last year, and then what they managed to do last year. Emery's got 4 points in, I think it's 25 games or whatever the figures was. I can't remember what it was, but you know, it shows you the job Emery's done, and he's got to be. You know, if we continue this way, he's got to be in that bracket there in terms of Manager of the Year. I think he's been unbelievable, and I think today, you know, I was frustrated at times in terms of the way that we played, but at least we had a plan. You know, we didn't change our plan. We stuck to our principles of trying to keep the ball at the back, try and draw them in, and then try and pass it around them. And, you know, we created our first goal through that. And we didn't create too many chances, but we kept going. And there was times where I was thinking, you know, we could have been a little bit quicker, a little bit better with the ball. But Leicester didn't create hardly anything apart from the goal, which came out of nothing really. And Harvey Barnes, fantastic.
It did, but I would say there was a warning board exactly the same about 10 minutes before that they played, and we didn't really heed that warning. And you know, it's a lovely take. It's a lovely goal from Harvey Barnes. He always does well against Villa. Always seems to find the back of the net. A few Leicester players have got great records against us. But let's go back right to the start. Let's go back to the first goal. Ollie Watkins, 6 away games in a row now. He scored. His form, again, we talk about Emery being absolutely ridiculous as a manager. You know, Ollie Watkins' form now is bordering on the ridiculous. They've scored 6 away games in a row. I think that's only him and Sergio Aguero now that have done that in Premier League history. He's finding all these little records and managing to break them, isn't he, Ollie Watkins? And it wasn't his best goal. It was a bit of an untidy finish.
No, but you know what? I think he's done really well because I know it was a bit of a scuff finish, but you know, he's put it through on goal. Buendia does really well. Plays the through ball. First touch is good.
Keeps himself on side. And then, you know, he's sort of going in between players, and Wout Faes has sort of bumped him, and then someone else has bumped him the other side. And he's sort of off balance, falling over. And he could easily just go down and look for an easy pen, which he probably wouldn't have got. And he managed to get he's managed to get there and still managed to put a finish in and just knock it past the keeper. That's all he had to do. And yeah, it rolled in, but you know, he did the hard yards and he got in that position. And all he could do really in that position, the way he was falling over, was just try and get a foot on it and get it past the keeper. And he did exactly that. It's just a shame, you know, Gareth Southgate's going to have to look in the Championship for a striker to be called up for the England squad. You know, I don't think Watkins, even with 6 away goals in a row, is going to get an England squad. So I think for him, it's just a case of, you know, he said himself, I want to get 20 goals this season. And I think What's he on now? Do you know what he's on?
I think he's on 11 now, isn't he?
11.
Yeah.
Big ask to get to 20, I would say.
Yeah, well, yeah,
even on this form, it's still a massive ask.
I would not put it past him, honestly. I would not put it past him. And you know, I saw today, you know, time and time again, Moreno had the ball on the left-hand side. And in my head, I was thinking, oh, Ollie, run the channel, give him an option. Because Buendia was, you know, as he always does, comes inside. But Watkins stayed on the last man, stayed on the defender, stayed centrally. And you can see, going back to his interview last week, that's what Emery said to him.
I've watched that now.
Yeah, he said, stay central, stay up front. And he's doing it, you know, even though he's probably got the urge to go out wide, because he's obviously been a wide player before, he sort of stayed central. And it's paid dividends from that first goal. You know, he's getting in between defenders, he's getting through on goal, he's got the pace. And, you know, he did the job, he finished, and he only had one really, really good chance, and he's managed to score. And, you know, I thought in the first half, you know, Leicester had a good 5-10 minute period, but I thought apart from that, we controlled the possession, controlled the tempo of the game. and looked okay actually. And just before they scored, I know we had a warning shot before, sort of 10 minutes before, but I thought we were looking quite dangerous, and we were in and around the box. And I thought maybe we could have been a bit better. We tried to, Buendia, Ramsey, they're both trying to sort of play balls in behind the defender at the edge of the box, where it's quite difficult. If you get it wrong, the keeper's going to smother it. I thought we could have been a bit better and just played a little bit more of like a 1-2 at the edge of the box, because I thought that Leicester's midfield was fairly poor, quite pedestrian. So I thought maybe next time something to work on. But I think if we're going to be coming up against those kinds of teams and that kind of formation where they sort of sit back in a sort of low mid block and just try and nullify us, and then you saw Leicester themselves, they weren't really trying to draw themselves out. They were sort of staying in their shape, which made it difficult for us. I think we're going to come across that more now. I think we probably will in the next few games. Then I think we need to be a bit more clever in the forward positions and try and play edge of the box a little bit more 1-2s at the edge of the box and try and create something rather than always looking for that final ball straight away. That was my only criticism in the first half.
Yeah, like I don't think it was a vintage performance. Perhaps a little bit of tiredness because we aren't in the position to freshen up the team. Particularly, I thought Louise looked a bit leggy and a little bit tired. Not by no means had a bad game, but I don't think he was quite on it as much as he has been. I think he looked a little bit tired. I thought McGinn was excellent in midfield again. You're right. It was kind of weird because Ramsey was playing on the right hand side tonight. Yeah. He's been playing more from the left, hasn't he? There must have been a tactical reason for that tonight. Ramsey was playing on the right when they're kind of cutting in from the left. I think Emery would have seen something in Leicester's back four that he thought would be more beneficial to play Buendia coming in from the left. And I thought Buendia was good in the first half as well. Actually, he was involved in a lot of good that Villa did, but couldn't hold on to the lead. Conceded a goal. Harvey Barnes, as I've said, always scores against Villa. It was kind of one of those ones where we've actually defended pretty well all night. Just got caught maybe a little bit high for that one without facing. In fairness to him, he's played a lovely board. It's a lovely take from Barnes, and he's very direct when he gets the board, and he's a good finisher as well, cutting in from that left hand side, and they've scored. And then Leicester, they felt galvanised by that, didn't they? The fans felt galvanised as well. And I actually thought Leicester started the second half probably the better of the two teams as well, and the fans were getting up for it, and you could feel that we might be in a little bit of trouble here. Leicester haven't won for a while as well, but you felt like the tide was starting to turn a little bit. But then, to Villa's advantage, Keane and Dewsbury Hall probably about to be taken off for Pereira. Makes a silly tackle when you're on a booking, and he ends up getting his marching orders. But even then, I think Leicester defended quite well. Like you say, Villa stuck to their principles, but they couldn't really find a way to break Leicester down. There was a few bits and pieces, a couple of shots from range. Bailey went close. McGinn had one that looked like it might have been hitting the target that got blocked and behind for a corner. But we were huffing and puffing.
Yeah.
Didn't really feel like the goal was going to come, did it? But then it did in absolutely ridiculous circumstances.
Yeah, I know. I was getting frustrated, as we all were. I think there was Ramsey had a bit of a snapshot, McGinn shot you talked about, and Bailey's shot, which was never really going in. But we weren't really getting in behind. We weren't really doing much, and we're like I say, sticking to what we were trying to do all game really. And the subs did come on quite late, and I was quite surprised at some of the subs as well, like Ramsey coming off and Duran coming on. I thought Bailey might have gone off earlier. I
had a thought with that maybe because Bailey just never gets 90 minutes, he's either coming on or he's coming off the bench. I didn't think Ramsey was massively in the game. Neither was Bailey. I'm not saying he was. Ramsey wasn't. Just a confidence thing to keep him on the pitch a bit longer. And to be fair, when he stayed on, he did slightly become a bit more involved in the game at that point. But
I get it.
I can think of with that.
I get it. I think it's more that when you're down to 10 men, you need to make the pitch. When the opposition is down to 10 men, you need the pitch wide as possible. And Moreno does it on the left-hand side, but we don't really have that on the right-hand side unless Bailey's on. So it's probably why he kept Bailey on, was to keep that sort of one-on-one with Christensen, with Young sort of tucking in.
And Watkins didn't get much of the ball in the second half, in fairness, either. I don't remember. I bet if you look at his touch map, I bet he didn't touch the ball very much in the second half at all. But that comes with the staying central thing, staying on the defender's shoulder. Whatever happens, he stuck to the plan. But as a consequence of that, he hasn't really ended up being in the game. So as much as you can say Bailey was doing nothing, not really in the game, I suppose the same could really be levelled at Watkins. But it's just...
I don't think anyone was... Apart from Moreno, I thought was probably our best player.
Moreno was good.
I don't think there was anyone else really. Dougie Luiz even had a bit of an off game. I thought he was good in certain spells, but
just
tired a little bit. And I think it's just one of those things, playing another game after that performance against Chelsea, it's going to be difficult, and to get the win after that as well.
They ran a lot against Chelsea as well.
And the other thing, the sending off. Going back to sending off, sorry, I thought I'm going to call it clever, Harry Kane clever. Not that he was a diver, Young, but Young knew what he was doing. He
made the most of it.
He was waiting, but he made the most of it. But also, he's waiting for the challenge. It was contact. It was a yellow card because it was a late challenge, especially after you've been booked as well. And it was a cynical book in the first one as well. Young knew he was like, I'll wait, I'll pass the ball, take the hit and get the yellow card. And that's where Young comes into his own. I don't think it was his best game, but I thought second half actually was a lot better against Barnes compared to the first half. But that sort of just astute experience where someone else might have gone 2-footed into Dewsbury Hall and try to make it into a 50-50. Young waits for the challenge. And when obviously Traore has won us the game, but that had a massive impact on the game as well. And obviously it's led to eventually the goal. And it was a poor. I can't remember who it was who misplaced it. It wasn't Mendy, was it? It was Ndidi, wasn't it? I think. And just to hit it first time, brilliant. And then obviously the penalty as well. We haven't talked about that at all. Well, it
was a nonsense giving that. He can't have been 100% sure to give that penalty. I didn't even think it looked like a penalty.
I
didn't think there was anything in it at all. I couldn't understand what it had been given for.
Yeah, I thought it had gone in. Firstly, because
I did think that initially.
I sort of walked away and my head in my hands, and I was like, I'm not getting Villa. Seriously, I thought we changed, and then I looked back and I was like, what's going on? And then I saw it and I was like, penalty? What? And at first I thought it was offside, and it was. I mean, after defending so well all game, that was really poor defending. I thought actually,
it was actually great defending from Watkins.
Yeah, in the end, it was brilliant by Watkins. He got his body in the way, and it was 100% foul. Leicester fans will complain. Couldn't care less.
They'd know that.
I'm just glad. I mean, Leicester have been a bogey team for us for a long time. Ever since Martin O'Neill managed them. You remember back in those days where
Heskey used to kill us.
Heskey and who's the defender? Was it Elliott?
Matt Elliott.
Matt Elliott. Always score against us. Steve Guppy and players like that always score against us, and I was just hate them. And plus, I hate Maddison as well. I love him as a player, but he absolutely hates Villa, and I'm just glad we beat him. And he's always diving around. So, yeah.
He tired as well. I think he could, once they went out to 10 men as well. It was hard for him. To have an influence on the game. It was difficult for Maddison, and he's nursing an injury as well. I think he's ended up going off with a little bit of a knock as well. They're having to manage him at the moment, James Maddison, and that's a massive problem to them. If they lose him, I seriously worry for them. I'd worry for them anyway. I think on the basis of tonight, I'm not sure they've got enough. They're going to have to get this managerial appointment right. But let's just go to a few of the comments, because there's plenty of people saying stuff. It looks to me like there's people making donations again as well.
Oh yeah, well,
it's absolutely baffling.
Thank you, guys.
To me, I really
appreciate it. Doesn't go in my pocket. It goes in all in Bardell's pocket on his haircuts, I think.
As I've said, I might be able to buy Neil a Guinness on Friday.
Neil deserves it, mate. After he's put to this channel,
he does. Mitchell Tullett says Traore for Bailey.
Yeah,
against Forest.
Hard to argue against it.
I'm just not 100% sure it's something that Emery will do.
No, I don't think so. I think I wonder. I haven't heard anything about Kamara's injury, but I imagine he'll keep the same team because, I don't know. Against Forest, again, maybe I think Emery's one of those players who wants to give confidence to players, so maybe he'll give Bailey another chance. But I would put Traore on. I think
he'll definitely get longer on the pitch, I would say.
Yeah, I would put him on after that match-winning goal. You saw how much he meant to Traore as well. I've never seen Traore that, excited.
We all go on about footballers, and people will say plenty about footballers, but that guy's had a tough. He was injured all last season, pretty much. It's clear that the manager didn't fancy him. He's carted off to somewhere he probably didn't really want to go at the start of the season. Not treated very well. He's called back. He's been on the bench for weeks. Not really had much of a sniff, and then he comes on tonight and produces a moment of magic.
He does. He may be. We talked about this in the transfer window. Do you remember when we recalled him? And
I was reasonably happy. I remember being reasonably happy.
Yeah, we were both
another option.
Yeah, and I think he's one of these players. Look, he's not all wingers, unless you're the elite winger, which we're never going to get really, like Mahrez or someone like that. They perform week in, week out. Winger of any team below the top four is going to be inconsistent. And the thing with Traore is the most important thing with the wingers in our position is output and also work rate as well. And I think Traore's work rate, it could be criticised a little bit, but I think he's improved a lot over the years. And I think his output is fantastic. He gets goals and assists. He does something. He makes things happen.
I bet his goal to games ratio or goal involvement to game ratio is pretty good.
Brilliant.
We'll get Stato to do that for us. If you want to do it now, so you're having a little go at me for getting something wrong in the comments. So if you want to make yourself useful, if you could find out that information.
Cheers, mate. Cheers, mate.
In the chat, that would be absolutely brilliant. Reese Roberts Alati, who's He's come up in a weird format, but I believe you've donated to the channel, so thank you very much for that. He says, we know how to win ugly. We lose that game under Steven Gerrard. I mean, I definitely think we don't win that game under Steven Gerrard. We played Leeds earlier on in the season. The game was set at 0-0 that game, and they went down to 10 men, and we just could not break them down. I mean, in fairness, not far off like tonight, but at least we had some basic principles this evening. But we haven't. That's the first time we'll have won a game against when a team's gone down to 10 men for a long time now. I know we beat Palace the other week when they went down to 10 men, but we were already winning that game. You know, this is us picking up a bonus from taking advantage of a team having a man sent off. I don't think that's happened too many times in the last few years. Brian Grealish, not so sure if he's any. Oh, here we go. AVFC Stato, 15 goal contributions in 48 Premier League games to Villa. That's probably about what I would have expected, but that's a good record in my opinion.
Yeah. And if you strip out the games last year where he was coming back from injury and playing a bit part in games, you know, he was coming in for 5-10 minutes here and there. You know, I think it's hard to judge him on that season. I think, you know, he's done a job. He's you know, maybe not a £20 million, £21 million player or whatever it is we signed him for, but you know, we've had so much crap over the years. You know, we spent the likes of Hogan, McCormack, you know, these types of players we spend lots of money on and have done nothing. You know, this player we spent a bit of money on, but at least he's contributed to the Villa team, and you know, he's come up with a winner in a really important game. You know, you can't ask for more than that. Some great pictures going on Twitter, by the way. I've just asked Adam to put it on of the Villa players celebrating with the away fans. Oh, I'd love to have been there. Wish we could have gone, mate. That would have been brilliant.
Yeah,
it's fun.
But I said it on Saturday. The people that go every week away from home,
fair play, deserve it. Oh, yeah.
Absolutely, 100% deserve all these moments because they have had some miserable times away from home. None more than when Chris Dolan and myself go, because we lose every time when me and Dolan go together. But you know, there's been some horror times in the Championship, even horror time. Even if you go back to that relegation season where we pretty much lost every single week. You know, they deserve moments like this, and they'll be fancying us every week at the moment. So I'm losing track here because so many people seem to be donating, as I say. It's never happened before until the last two. Is this what happens when Villa are good?
Maybe we should get on more often, but get some Aussie dollars in as well. That's
all sorts going on here. So thank you to Shane Brown who wants to donate.
Status say most of those games off the bench too. There's 48 Premier League games, quite a lot off the bench. So yeah, fair play.
He's also saying no Premier League team has more points away from home since Unai Emery took charge than Aston Villa. 19 points. The away record, I mean, the home record's pretty good. The away record is outrageous.
How does he do that? How does he start to do that so quickly? How does he?
He's got his Excel database.
Oh,
I haven't seen what it looks like. To be fair, he says it's a mess, but he's got, like he says, it's not the best way to do what he does. But he's got his Excel database. And
Fair play
every week. Yeah, unreal Twitter page. That's one of my favourite Twitter pages that there is. Joey Piccolino, great name, who's also donated. He's asking us Champions League ? I mean, had Emery been in at the start of the season, it might not have been beyond the realms.
But it's one of those. It's one of those, isn't it? You can if some buts and maybes, isn't it? It's would we have ever sacked Gerrard at the start of the season? Probably not. If we had, would Unai Emery have come? Probably not, because he had a whole pre-season with Villarreal, and he probably wouldn't have wanted to leave at that point. You know, it's one of those, you just don't know what's going to happen. It was meant to be. I'm just excited for what's coming now. I think we've got Forest. Who else we got coming up? Forest. We've got Fulham coming up as well, haven't we? Midweek game.
It's a decent run of games. I don't like to be presumptuous before we're about to play them. I mean, it's not a horrible run. This run we're on at the moment, you do just feel like we'll beat everyone. Although saying that, I didn't sit there tonight thinking we're gonna win this.
No.
With 5 minutes left.
That's just been a Villa fan. Like same. As soon as you said about Forest, I was like, typical Villa going to lose that game. You know, back of your head, you're a Villa fan. You're cynical.
Well, you know what? Someone else has said it in the comments. I met Steve Cooper obviously last week. Really, really liked him, but I would worry for his future. They've lost tonight, especially when all the other Premier League owners have been jumpy. Wouldn't surprise me if there was someone else managing Nottingham Forest at the weekend at Villa Park on Saturday. Villa seem to be heavily involved in the managerial merry-go-round at the moment. I've got a question for you late night, Omar, that you might not know the answer to. Unai Emery's head coach, isn't he?
Yeah, I believe so, yeah.
Villa need to do that thing that Arsenal did where you make Arteta manager to reward him for doing so well. I know it's early days.
That's what they did. They changed his role.
They changed his role in at the start of the season. They changed him. I believe it was start of the season. They've definitely changed him from head coach to manager
Well,
in the last year.
I definitely. What do you think about a new contract? Or was it too early? I know that's people probably be like, "What
I
the hell
think
are
we've got
you serious?"
something. I know it's early days still, and I may be getting a little bit ahead of myself and a little bit excited. But I just think this manager is the real deal. This is,
Yeah.
we've had moments. I was thinking earlier, there was the season under David O'Leary, his first season where we weren't doing great, and suddenly the second half of the season we were absolutely brilliant, and we ended up finishing sixth from nowhere. And Angel was on fire, which feels a little bit like Watkins is on fire at the moment. We had John Gregory come in for Brian Little and take us into Europe from pretty much a relegation dogfight at the time. So there has been spells like this, but just, I said it the other day, everything Unai Emery does just seems to turn to gold. He brings Bertrand Traore, those 3 subs, and you think, this is just late in the game. There's not going to be really any time for them to have any impact, and it just works. It's just the way it is at the moment, isn't it? Everything he touches turns to goals or turns to gold.
A lot of good managers have that, don't they? Have that sort of, not maybe it's luck. I don't know what it is, but that golden touch where things they do, they get a bit of luck in games. They get a bit of fortune, late winners. Ferguson obviously was renowned for getting his teams getting late winners and things like that. So, yeah.
What's this?
I think he's going to put a tweet up. I think maybe.
I thought it was Adam wanting us to finish, putting in the end.
Yeah, without the Oscars. Oh, that was the picture I was talking about.
Oh, it's
Martinez. Look at that.
Look at that lovely picture.
Oh, look how happy they are.
Everyone associated with Villa must be absolutely delighted at the moment. I know the fans are. The ownership, the director of football, everyone just must be absolutely elated with what's happening with Villa at the moment. Emery thing Villa says there, Emery little thing he does his magic, and it's absolutely true. And I said it on Saturday. There will be times where we'll undoubtedly at some point hit a sticky patch and lose a few games, and questions will be asked. But they absolutely shouldn't, because this long term, this manager has got it. He knows exactly what he is doing. It feels like the perfect fit. It really does. His record with teams similar to Villa in Spain is very, very good. This just feels like it's a very unique marriage, and it feels like one that's really, really going to work for us. And you can just be excited now. Whatever happens between now and the end of the season, you can genuinely be buoyant going into the summer when he gets his own players in, and when Villa come back from pre-season, you will have high expectations. I think Villa put so much on the summer this time last year, but it was more, we were more like weighing in hope rather than expectation. Now I think there's a genuine right to have expectation, because, as I say, this manager is a class act. What he has done with these players who were struggling to conjure anything up under the previous manager is absolutely incredible.
Oh, yeah, I mean, not much more to add than that, is there really? I think that sums it up pretty well. I think I said it in the last pod. I think Unai Emery is not just important for us right now in this moment, but it's important for this whole club in terms of how we move forward and beyond him as well. He's not going to be here forever. I think this is a bit of a sliding doors moment. I think getting him in. He's the first real elite manager we've got, and who's at the top of his game. I can't think of anyone else we've ever got who was at the top of the game. Martin O'Neill, when we brought him in, yes, he had an amazing reputation, but obviously he'd taken time off because his wife was sick, and Celtic had been managing for a couple of years. To get Unai Emery, where he's won cup after cup, managing at the highest level, amazing for PSG, did fairly well at Arsenal as well. When you look into it, he's just done well everywhere he's been. To get a manager of that ilk into the club. And at this moment, when we were on our knees, really, we were really struggling, and we were, me and you sat down, and others sat down, and we were just sort of saying, we've wasted our opportunity. Newcastle above us, and other teams have jumped us, Brentford, Brighton, etc., Fulham even, and we were thinking, that we're back to square one almost, where we started when we first got promoted. To be where we are now, never in a million years would I have thought, would be in this position. And all credit to the players as well, and the management team, but the players as well. They've really turned it around. Players like McGinn, Watkins, Mings, Konza, Ashley Young. These players who've been written off. Young was written off last year, and people were in two minds about re-signing him. Again. So these players have just been fantastic for us, and feel special. That's the only way you can put it. It just feels special.
Yeah, something going on at the club at the moment. Obviously, the women's team's going really well. Although I know they lost at the weekend, but generally, they're on the up as well. It's a good time to be a Villa fan. I mean, how many games is there left now? Eight or 9 games left. this season. Could we have flash the table up again, please, Adam? I mean, when was the last time that Villa was
9
seventh?
games. Yeah, 9
When
games.
was the last time Villa was seventh with 9 games left? Stato, I'm looking at you again. But you know, we have not been this high up in the table in the Premier League at this stage of a season since O'Neill.
No.
And when you consider, again, I'm saying it again, when you consider the start that we had, the head start we've given teams this season, there were so many. It was a decent run of games. I would say Gerrard had. We got a good point against Manchester City at home, but you know, it was we played some games you would have expected to take more from in that period as well. God, if we'd have even taken 3 to 4 points more, look at where we would be now. It's just absolutely amazing. And you're right, it will be Martin O'Neill's time. That will be the last time we were in the top 7, top 8 at this stage of a season. You know, we go again now on Saturday. You know, you're losing a bit in the legs at the moment with so many games and having a relatively small squad, but the momentum of the team, the confidence that the team must have at the moment, you do go into every game believing you've got a huge chance, and Forest will be another big one at the weekend, and Villa Park will be rocking now, a bit like that 10-game run in the Championship.
Yeah.
Villa Park, I hope, is going to start to take off now, because we as fans now have got to do our bit. The home atmosphere isn't always brilliant. I think Unai Emery's given us an awful lot in the last 6 to 7 weeks, and since he's come into the football club, we've got to start giving stuff back now and getting the atmosphere up at home. Even if we go a goal down or we don't score early, we've got to start now. Villa Park can get rocking again now, like it did in the Championship. We were a big part of that 10-game run, and there was a big belief amongst the players, the staff, and the fans, and everything was as one. We've got a chance now to do that again with 9 games left, and if we can do that and all come together towards the end of the season, the sky is the limit for Villa. Even this season, we can get a very high finish in the Premier League, because no one's screaming out and looking to run away with those European places at the moment. It's anyone's game, and with our fans and how loud we can be and how good I know we can be, there's a chance for us to achieve something really special this season. Now, these recent results have really given us the belief and given us some momentum. Let's harness that now and carry it on into the end of the season, because we can do something really important for the football club here.
Yeah, I couldn't put it better myself, honestly. It's a unique position, because I don't think Liverpool and Chelsea are going to be as bad as they've been this season, next season.
Nope.
And I
What's
think
the score in that game in the end?
0-0. So
0-0.
again, you know, it's a perfect result for us, really.
Yeah, the results seem to be mainly going our way, except for Brighton.
Yeah, and you know, Brighton, fair play, they're doing well. They're the only other team probably keeping up with us in terms of form, maybe alongside Brentford. But yeah, we're in a unique position because Chelsea, Liverpool are dropping points left, right, and centre. They're in both clubs in disarray. They probably will fix that in the summer. They probably will get the players in. They'll probably get back to their best. We've got to take full advantage of that this season, where we're at the moment. And you know, 7th, 6th, 5th, 4th, whatever, you know, I'd take anything now in those positions. If we get European football, that's
7th Europe, isn't it? I think, and 7th is there to be had. We're there. We're in. I know teams have played a varying amount of games, but
maybe even 8th, maybe even 8th for Conference League. You know, I'm not obviously we want to be in Europa or Champions League, but Champions League is going to be difficult. But not saying it's impossible, but it's going to be difficult.
We can dream, but
we can dream. Yeah, it's going to be difficult.
But I'll take the Conference League at this point. I think still, if I was off.
Yeah. Any Europe, you know, I'll be happy with. And you know, from where we were, we've talked about already. It's just what more can you say? And just buzzing for Saturday. And you're right, fans need to get behind us. We can't be
big one on Saturday.
Yeah,
now.
even if
2 home games. Adam Sky says in the live chat, he's absolutely right. 2 home games now. One of them against Newcastle, who have picked up again. They've had a couple of good results recently, and they're looking good for Champions League, which is absolutely incredible for them, by the way. But 2 home games now, we have a massive chance to make a real difference as fans now, and we've got to do it. We've got to get loud. We've got to get proud. We've got to get behind Unai Emery, because he's doing something amazing with us at the moment.
Man of the match, then, quickly.
I'll say McGinn again.
Yeah,
for me. Moreno, that's a bit harsh on Moreno. Probably Moreno was very busy down that left hand side. He's got such quick feet. He's actually decent with his right foot as well.
Quick as well. Tonight. Really quick. Really quick.
Guile in there, isn't it? Something different. Actually been an important signing for us. One you wouldn't have necessarily said that we needed, but he's been an important signing. So I would have said a good night if your name begins with M. I would have said McGinn or Moreno for me. What about you?
Moreno is a standout play for me, as I said before. I think we could take Watkins for his goal, but he was a bit quiet in the second half. But I think Moreno was the best player by far. I don't think it was our best day in the office. I think there was a few players that were off, but we did the job at the end of the day, and that's the most important thing away from home. I think we've talked about it already. This sort of stars that we've got the flexibility to be a bit more measured away from home and play
That's what
a
we've
bit more of a compact style. And at home, no doubt against Forest, we'll play a high line or risk a few. They'll get in behind now and again. We'll take our chances. We'll get players forward and maybe be susceptible to a counter attack. But I think that's just the way we play at home, and I think it's not a bad way to be, and it could lead to hopefully a win on Saturday.
I mean, there's 1,500 people watching us at the moment on a Tuesday night, Omar, which is absolutely incredible. So thank you ever so much for the support. And people have thrown in their man of the matches as well. There's a nice little mix. But if your name does begin with M, it does seem to be a benefit. This evening, a few Mingses have been thrown in there as well. Adam Sky saying McGinn bossed it in midfield. He moved the ball confidently and quickly, as did Moraine. I think that's the big thing. Villa players pick the ball up in tight positions now. You back them to get out of it. And we got caught on the ball at the start of Emery's reign, and certainly under the previous manager as well. There's a lot to be happy. Tom saying Villa are back. Yes, Tom. Let's hope so. Let's hope we are back, because it's been too long not being in the positions like this in the Premier League table. So let's hope we can stay there now. And like I say, we've got a huge chance now with 2 home games to really go and do something. I could stay on all night, to be fair. I'm really, really enjoying the show, but it's probably time for us to call it a day. Leave the people wanting more. That's the best way to be. Greg and myself will be recording at 1874 tomorrow. Greg was reporting at the game tonight for the Athletic. I'm sure he's had a lovely, lovely time. Hopefully he'll have spoke to the manager, spoke to some players, and we'll be able to dissect that tomorrow when Greg and I record. So that'll be out on all the usual platforms at some point tomorrow. We're hoping sometime in the afternoon, to keep your eyes peeled for that one. That should be with you soon, and then we'll do all the other usual jazz that we do before the Forest game as well. Thanks ever so much to Omar for joining me. There's 1,500 of you here listening and watching at the moment. If you're not already subscribed to the channel, please subscribe to the channel. Let's get those subscriber numbers up, because they have been stuck at a similar amount for the last 2 or 3 years. The subscriber numbers, they've never really gone up. So if you're enjoying what you're seeing on the channel, please subscribe with your post notifications on. Give the video a like as well, and throw some comments in there as well. And I'll spend my evening and my morning tomorrow replying to a few as well. I need to be better at engagement in the YouTube comments. Thanks to Adam for producing as well, and all his work with the league table and everything else that he threw up during the show. Thanks to Stato, who I always impromptually get involved in the show as well with his array of stats. Looking forward to doing 1874 tomorrow. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Buy yourself some purity if you're that way inclined, and treat yourself tonight. Use the code #VillaView. 10% off. Up the Villa.
The Villa. Come on. Yes.